Everybody, is my screen visible?
Yep, I can see it.
Right.
Yes, I can.
So today we are going to have a short demo on the ServiceNow application and its background and its features, and what is the scope of this course, what all things will be covered as part of this course, and its duration and job opportunities. Right. Those things will cover as part of today's session. So these are all the contents that we are going to discuss today. ServiceNow introduction, then features of ServiceNow, ServiceNow applications, course content or syllabus and duration, finally the job opportunities, finally QA. So let's talk about the ServiceNow. So ServiceNow is one of the cloud applications, okay, currently in the market, which is mainly used for managing the IT activities. Okay, it is mainly used for managing the IT activities in the organization. Any organizations will perform these IT activities. Take some simple example. So for example, you have purchased some product, right? And you're utilizing the services of the product. For example, you're facing some issues with the product. What do? You raise a complaint, right? You raise a complaint to the service provider saying that I'm facing so and so issue with this product. So once you raise a complaint, what happens? A ticket will be created, and then a ticket will be assigned back to the backend team of the service provider, and the backend team will work on your complaint. They will provide the resolution, and then you will be able to use the services back. Right? This is one of the IT activity that is generally performed by any of the services organization. Right? So likewise, there are many IT activities, right, in the organizations generally. So some of the examples could be like this. So you joined in the organization, right, and you are an employee in the organization, and you are deployed onto the project, and now you need to raise a request in order to get the resources, say for example laptop, and then access to the applications, right? And then you need to raise a request to get your desk allocation, and you need to raise a request to get the access for your ID card, right, for the office building access. So each and every access or the request that you put will have to be basically raised in order to get the uh, fulfillment basically. So you will not get anything just by asking somebody. You will definitely have to raise a request. Your request will be tracked, and then that will be assigned to some team. The team will work on your request, and they will provide you the service. So for example, you want to raise a request for your laptop. So what you can do, there will be some portal in the organization where you need to log into the portal, and then you can fill your details, then raise a request, and then request will be assigned to some backend IT team. They will check the procurement, okay, the stock and the inventory, and then they will take some time. They will have some dedicated ETA, and then they will inform you saying that your laptop is ready, please come and collect. Right? One of the requests. Other requests could be like, for example, you need your headset for attending the office meetings. You cannot directly go and ask the IT team, I need a headset. You have to raise a request. A request will be assigned to the backend IT team. They'll check the inventory, and they will provide you the headset. This is some IT activity which is called service request. Okay, you're raising a service request, and the team is working on your service request. Another example, let me give you. For example, you're deployed into the project, some development project, right? And so you're writing some code, and for some functionality, you have built the code, getting it. So now you're not just going to work on one environment. There will be multiple environments, like dev environment, test, stage, or production. Different environments will be there. So you as a developer, you will be working on the development environment, and you have built your code in the dev environment. Now you need to migrate your code to the other environments like test environment, right? So you cannot simply migrate your code. There will be some process in the organization, right? So you will have to raise some request called change request, and that change request will track all your deployment related details. What is the code that you are deploying? and then what is the necessity of this code deployment, right? Does it have any approvals, right? Everything will be feeded, like the testing plan will be feeded, how your code will be tested after deployment is completed. And also, how do you deploy? Those steps will be drafted in this change request. It will be sent for some approval called cab approval. It will be presented there, and once they approve it, then you will be ready to move your code. Not an any day. There will be some specific date and time on which, like, at which you will have to deploy your code. Getting it? So there will be some process for the code deployments as well. This is also an IT activity. Okay. So we talked about raising a complaint on the services. That is one example. Second example is like you're raising a service request. Okay, for getting some resources. Third is the code migrations. So these are all IT activities in the organization. Likewise, there will be many IT activities in the organization. Okay, how all these IT activities are managed? So they'll be managed by some application. Okay, all these kinds of IT activities will be managed by some application. So ServiceNow is one of the applications which is mainly used for managing these IT activities. Okay, ServiceNow is a cloud application which is used for managing the IT activities in the organization. So IT activities like handling end users issues, like you're raising a complaint, right? If you're facing any issues with the services, so that is handled through some process called incident management. We'll talk about this in the later classes. So handling end users issues is handled by a process called incident management. So second is like you're raising a request for your laptop or access, or you want to raise some request for having some software installation on your office laptop, right? So that is also come under the IT activity. So that is handled through some service request management or service catalog. Code migrations or deployments, so they are managed through some process called change management process. So likewise, these are all the IT activities that are generally performed in any organization. So how all these IT activities are managed? In one of the application. That application is nothing but ServiceNow. Anybody is asking you what is ServiceNow, you can simply give this answer. It's a cloud application which is mainly used for managing the IT activities in the organization, right? So what is the main advantage or benefit of this ServiceNow application? So it is a cloud application. Okay, so it is placed in the cloud, and you can access this application from any place and also from any device. You can log in from mobile. Okay, provided you have internet connection and you know the link for your ServiceNow environment, and you know the credentials how to log in. You can log in from laptop or desktop, from anywhere. So these are the three requirements. You need to have internet connection, you need to know the instance URL, ServiceNow instance URL, and the credentials. Very easy to access from anywhere. So let's talk about features of ServiceNow. So it's a cloud application, as I said. So basically, ServiceNow internally has many modules in it to support the business of the organization for managing the IT activities of the organization. We'll talk about those applications in the coming discussion. So applications like ITSM, ITBM, ITOM, event management, GRC, SecOps, HRSD, there will be many applications. Each application, we also call them as modules. So these will be used for managing these IT activities. Okay. So each and every application has some specific purpose. Okay. So not every application does the same job in ServiceNow. Every module of the application will have its own responsibilities and the functionalities. So based on the requirement of the customer, they will be using the application. Okay. ServiceNow gives many applications. Not every organization will be using all the applications given by ServiceNow. Based on the business of the organization, they'll be purchasing the application from ServiceNow company and they'll be using it. Say for example, Cognizant, for example. their business is mainly on some say for example on ITSM. Their business is mainly on ITSM. So ITSM is one of the applications in ServiceNow. So Cognizant will purchase only ITSM related module by paying amount to the ServiceNow, okay, and they will use it for their business. Some X organization, their business or their activities will be mainly on the CMDB. So they will be purchasing only the CMDB related modules or applications from the ServiceNow, and they will be using it. Getting it? So ServiceNow gives many applications, but what is the requirement for the company? Only those related applications will be purchased, will be used in the organization. So another important feature is it follows ITIL guidelines. ServiceNow follows ITIL guidelines. Any organization into the services industry, okay, so they will be following certain guidelines or the frameworks, okay. So how those frameworks guidelines are defined? There is something called ITIL, IT Infrastructure Library. It's something like a Bible for the services industries. So this ServiceNow application is built by following the guidelines of ITIL. Okay. So how to manage the services? What are the best practices to be followed for managing the services? All those important standards are defined in the ITIL. Okay. Now ServiceNow application is built by following the ITIL guidelines. Okay. So that is another important feature of ServiceNow. And also it is very easy to use and manage basically. As I said, it is a cloud application. You can log in from any device. Okay. And also users navigation, the users interface, right, accessibility, everything will be very easy. Version upgrade is another important feature. Every application you take in the market currently, right, that application will not stay standalone. Okay, it will not stick on to a particular version. It reads the demands in the market. It will, the team who manages the application, the product owners, they will look into the market. They will see what are the demands of the customers. They will keep upgrading the application. Say for example WhatsApp, when it started with the basic version, right? So now it started slowly improving the versions of it. It started introducing new features into it, like video calling, audio calling, right? In the starting versions it was not having all these features, but later on this application started upgrading itself in order to meet the demands of the markets or the customers. Same way ServiceNow also, initially when it started the basic version around in the year 2011, started with the basic version with some simple applications in it. So slowly it upgraded itself every year, right? So 2012 some version has introduced, 2013 another next version. Likewise, every year some new versions have been introduced on the ServiceNow application. So now why those versions are being introduced? So like new functionalities, new development, new features, new user experience, all those were introduced in the next versions. And today when you check the ServiceNow application, when you look into it, you cannot just even compare with the starting version. It is totally different. Okay, so users navigation, the tables or the functionalities, the features, right, the fixes to the problems is totally different when you compare the starting version to the today's current version. So approximately, for example, the version naming for ServiceNow is given in the alphabetical order. Okay, in the year 2011, it started with the basic version name called Aspen. Okay, and next year it upgraded to another version, which takes name with B. Next alphabet letter is B. Okay, next Calgary, next other version, next Eureka, right, Fusey. So in the alphabetical order the naming was taken. So even today if you see the version name, the version name is Xanadu X. So from alphabet A, it has started its journey. Today it has upgraded to Xanadu version, right? So almost like 23 to 24 versions have been uh, 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 done from 2011 to 2024. Getting it? So you can understand, like, every year some or the other new features have been introduced on this ServiceNow application. That is the reason why today ServiceNow is standing number one in the services industry. Okay, there are many other applications like ServiceNow which are providing services, but ServiceNow is standing alone because it has many features in it, many applications in it. Customers are liking it. Okay, ServiceNow is being introducing with whatever the problems that our clients are facing. The problems are being read and then solutions are provided in the ServiceNow application. So that is the reason it is standing top one. And another important feature is the ServiceNow PDI. So generally, if you want to learn any course, you require some lab environment for learning the core, for learning the application, and for doing the development activity. Okay. So ServiceNow is providing free lab environment. Okay. So lab environment will be exactly similar to that of the project environment, the live environment. Everything will be same. All the applications, users navigation, experience, tables, scripts, configurations, everything is same, and you're getting it for free of cost. Okay, so any user can raise a request for the lab environment by following some procedures, and you can start using it. You can start learning it, exploring it, and you can start building the applications within it. Getting it? Exactly the similar environment. Getting it? So there are some limitations to the lab environment as well, but they are not so. There are very less. So we'll discuss that. What are those limitations and what is this lab environment? I'll show in the later discussion. So these are all some of the important features. Okay, very important features. Next is ServiceNow applications. As I said, ServiceNow has different applications within it, or you can also call them as modules. So ITSM is one of the module. ITBM. So ITSM meaning IT service management. So generally you will hear this term. Company is looking for the developers who have experience on ITSM, right? So people who have experience on this IT service management, they are fit for applying the jobs on that. Right. So ITBM, IT business management, IT finance management, IT operations management, HRSD, configuration management database, governance, risk and compliance, right? So this is an additional um, important feature, I can say. So you can also integrate ServiceNow with other applications using web services called SOAP and REST. So let me just give you high level about these applications. ITSM. So I talked about like user raising complaints, right? So first use case. So that is nothing but that is one of the IT activity which is managed through this ITSM, right? So incident management is part of ITSM. So raising service request, right? Second use case that also comes under the ITSM. Code migration, change management process that also come under ITSM. So ITSM basically manages incidents, problems, change requests, knowledge management, service catalog. These things will be managed in the ITSM. IT business management mainly manages the business related activities like managing the projects, managing the demands, managing the budgets of the projects, right? So managing the amounts for each the cost, we call it as cost plan for the entire fiscal years. So those business related aspects are managed in the IT business management. IT finance management, it's also something similar to the IT business management, but it is little different. So there are some different functionalities present in the IT finance management, ITFM. Okay. IT operations management, it is mainly used for managing the operations side of ServiceNow. So there will be something like the discovery setup, right? Discovery setup, mid servers configurations. Those things will be managed in the ITOM and the event management. HRSD, it is basically for managing the HR activities. So whatever the responsibilities of the HRs, like the employee hiring, employee separation, and payroll management, right? Absence management, leaves management, those are managed using the HRSD module. Configuration management database, CMDB. So it is mainly used for managing the assets of the organization, softwares, software applications, hardware, devices, IP addresses, servers, right? Network IP addresses. Those are all managed. They're all assets of the organization. They are managed in the CMDB. It's a database. Okay. Governance, risk, and compliance. So every organization follows some governance and risk and compliance policies. So they are managed using this GRC application, right? And there are many other applications which ServiceNow has. I haven't listed them here, like legal services, vendor management, right? So there are other things like workspaces. Those are all part of ServiceNow application, right? So every day new things come on the ServiceNow, and so customers are still yet to update to the developments released by the ServiceNow. Okay, so ServiceNow is introducing many things day by day, but customers in the market still they are relying on the older applications only. Like these are the applications. Okay, only few organizations are using the latest features of the developments released by the ServiceNow. Right, so that's the basic thing about the ServiceNow uh, as a background standpoint and the feature standpoint and application standpoint. Now let's come to the course syllabus. Okay, so basically this course contains two things. One is the administration and other is the development. So administration is for it contains the basic concepts, fundamental concepts on ServiceNow. Okay, so we'll basically cover all the fundamentals of ServiceNow. Like when you get into the ServiceNow from any other background, not necessarily from IT, any background, like you wanted to learn ServiceNow, what basic things you require to learn ServiceNow. So those all fundamental concepts will be learned in the administration. So I'll just show you like what is the syllabus in detail. So administration is for basically for the people who wants to get into the administration kind of opportunity, not for developers. Some people are not looking for development on ServiceNow. They are they are not basically interested in writing code. So they are interested in managing the application, managing side of the application, right? Or support part of the application. So for for those people, administration will be helpful. Getting it? So it basically involves managing the ServiceNow application, managing the activities in the ServiceNow application. They will not write any code. They will just manage the application. If any issues come on the ServiceNow application, they will work on the investigation part and then they will provide the resolution. Getting it? So that is the administration level responsibilities. So on ServiceNow application, there will be two different teams. One is the admin team and another is the development team. So the people who are with admin responsibilities, administration concepts will be helpful. And development comes for the developers, people who are interested in writing code, build the functionalities, write something to build some new uh, functionality, right? So for them, development will be useful. Okay, so if you wanted to be a developer, you should learn both administration as well as development. You cannot learn development alone. You have to, because development concepts are dependent on the administration concepts. because administration concepts are the core concepts for any professional. Though he is a developer or as an administration professional, administration is must and should be required. Okay, so it's up to the interest of the candidates which platform, which path they want to basically look in, right? So let's check the detailed syllabus. So the duration is 60 hours in total. We'll come back to this again. So let me show you the course content. Okay, so this is what the course content, as I said. So first will be the administration. We'll start with the administration first because these concepts will be used in the development. Okay, so the starting topic will be ServiceNow UI screen elements. So as soon as you basically get the ServiceNow application, let me show you the application first. Okay, how the ServiceNow application look like. Let me show you. Everybody following?
Yes, I am.
So this is basically a lab environment. So same will be the similar environment will be the live environment or the project environment when you get into the project. So this is the basically the ServiceNow application. When you raise a request for lab environment, when you log in, so this will be the view. Okay. So as I said, like we have different applications in ServiceNow. So you can just check them here. So ITSM, right? Incident management is one of the application. So you can see here incident, and these are all the modules, right? So problem is another application. So you can use these modules to access that. Change request. So these are all the modules related to the change management. So you can basically activate the plugins, okay, for these applications, whatever the applications we discussed. You can activate the plugins in order to get these applications. Okay. So whatever the applications which are free of cost, you can activate them. The plugins related to them, you can activate them, and you will get the applications installed on the ServiceNow lab environment, and you can start using them. So this is the basically the home screen of the ServiceNow once you log in. Let's come back to the syllabus part. So first topic we'll talk about the screen elements, UI screen elements. So as soon as you log in, right? This is a login screen. As soon as you log in, what all things you see? So that covers in the first topic. So banner frame, application navigator, content frame. So these all come under the screen elements, home screen elements. And these are all the next options. What is impersonation, right? And elevated privileges, right? How do we do this? How do we use these options on the home screen? So basically, first topic talks about the login screen, the home screen once you log in, and what all details you need to learn. So next topic will be the users administration. So for example, you are working in the project, right? And you're working as a ServiceNow developer, okay? And your organization is using ServiceNow, and you're a developer for the ServiceNow application. So when your organization is using ServiceNow for managing the IT activities, so many users will be using ServiceNow. Many employees of the organization will be using the ServiceNow application to do the IT activities, right? Maybe raising a request, maybe raising some change requests, maybe raising some incidents, getting it? So every employee will be doing the activities in the ServiceNow only in your organization. So now how all those users are managed, how all those employees or users accounts are managed. So user administration talks about how the ServiceNow is going to manage the user accounts, right? Or how the ServiceNow is going to manage the groups in the organization. So there will be different teams, right, in the organization. So how those teams are managed, how the roles are managed for those users. So there will be various users with different roles. So how those roles are managed. So those things come will be discussed in the users administration, right? So next is forms, lists, and filters. So basically there will be different forms in ServiceNow. So as I said, incident, right? Incident is one of the application. So you see here, I opened the incident form. So this is some form of the incident. So how you basically work on these forms? How do you understand these forms, right? So that will be discussed in the forms topic. And a list is something like from the database you have some list of records. So how do you work with the list of records on the database table, right? So that comes under the list. So you'll have different views and you'll have different list operations, right? So those things we'll be learning in the list concept. Filters. So on the database table you have records. So how do you basically apply filters in order to filter the list of records, right? So those things are detailed here. So we'll be working on those things. Tables. So ServiceNow has different tables. Okay, many tables, hundreds of tables. So how do you basically understand the tables? How do you work with the tables? So how do you basically create the tables? How do you basically build the fields on the tables, right? So those table related concepts we'll be discussing here, like understanding the tables. There are different types of tables: extended tables and non-extended tables, tables creation, tables configuration. So we'll be discussing that in detail in tables concept. Catalog items, record producers, and order guides. As I said, right, you can raise a request by logging into some portal, right? Something like this. See here. So this is some portal, a default portal, out of the box portal given by ServiceNow. This is called end users portal. Okay, any end user can access this portal, and you can see here, you can raise a request by clicking on this request something, and you can see some tiles here. So for example, so I want to raise some complaint. So create incident, right? So you can see a form here where you can fill the details and you can submit. So how you can basically create this kind of, this is called a record producer, also called as catalog item. So how do you basically build this kind of catalog items on the, and you can place them in the portal so that users can start using this catalog item and they can raise a request. So how do you build this kind of catalog items? So those things will understand in the catalog items creation. Understanding variables, variable sets, these are all part of the catalog items creation. And how do you basically uh, implement some validations on the catalog items? So we'll work on these validation concepts as well. Record producers is something similar to the catalog items, so we'll see that as well on the record producers topic. And there's some another thing called order guides. So all these things will be discussed in detail in the service catalog topic. Import sets. Import sets is something like you have some data in a file, right? And you want to import that file into ServiceNow. Okay, you have some users data in Excel file and you want to import that users data into ServiceNow user table. Okay, some table. How do you basically import it? So through import sets concept. So So here we'll learn about how do you import the data, how do you basically set up the import sets process for importing such data. So these are all the topics that we'll be discussing as part of that import sets process. Service level agreements. So this is mainly for the support projects, not for development projects. So if you are aware of, so for example, you're raising some complaint to the service provider saying that I'm facing so and so issue, right? So you raise a complaint. So the service provider will receive that complaint through some ticket in the form of a ticket. So the ticket will have some timeline. Service provider will not be taking as much as time he want, right, to resolve your issue. There will be some dedicated timeline. If the issue is very critical, timeline will be very less, right? If the issue is not that critical, then timeline will be little more. Getting it? So those timelines related, okay, definitions for a task will be defined using this SLS, service level agreement. So for example, you're working in the project, you're supporting ServiceNow application, right? So all of a sudden, ServiceNow application is running very slow, right? So and your customers are using ServiceNow and they're facing this slowness issue. What they will do? They will definitely raise a incident saying that ServiceNow application is running very slow. Please look into the issue on priority. Okay, everybody will come onto the ServiceNow team. The customers, everybody comes onto the ServiceNow team, and everybody, the team, ServiceNow team, will sit on this issue. Okay, because this is affecting the business. Customers are not able to work on the ServiceNow application, and this is affecting the business. So till the time it is resolved, everybody's eyes will be on this development team or the support team only. Getting it? So all the other work will be put aside and everybody will start working on this application related issue. Getting it? So do you think like you can take as much as time you want? No, there will be some dedicated timelines. So this is a critical issue, right? Application slowness issue. So they will raise a critical ticket. So there will be the timeline will be very less, hardly maybe 6 to 7 hours, right? Not even that much, will be still less. So because this is affecting multiple users, the timelines will be very less. If it is affecting only a single user, the timeline will not be that less, it will be more. Getting it? So how these timelines are defined? Based on the criticality of the issue, based on the priority of the issue. So those definitions are defined in the service level agreements. For which task, what will be the timeline? So those are defined in the SLS, service level agreements. Workflows, so they are related to the catalog items, right? So now for example, I am raising this request and this will be assigned to some backend team, right? So backend team will be assigned with the ticket and they will have some process. So from the time you raise the request till this ticket is resolved, everything is an automated process. Everything is an automated process. How that automated process is going to run? That automated process is nothing but this workflow. So workflow will run behind the scenes for automating the request raised by the requester. So here we'll be learning the design part of the workflow. Okay, how do you design the workflows? Next is events and notifications. So basically here in this topic we'll talk about how to build the notifications, email notifications from the ServiceNow application. How do you build the notifications for various use cases? Right? For example, you're creating a record, you're raising a request from the service portal, right? And whenever a request is raised, it has to send some email communication to some users. So how that communication will be basically sent, how that email communication basically happens? So first you'll build the notification and you'll make sure that the conditions are added that notification will be triggered to the users when this record is created or request is created. So design part of notifications will be discussed in the notification concept. Update sets, right? So as I said, you will be working as a developer in the project, and you will be working in different environments: dev environment, test environment, stage, production, right? Different environments. And you are responsible for migration of codes from one environment to other environment, right? You have developed some piece of code and you want to migrate it. So you can use this update sets concept for code migration across the environments. Okay. Next is reports. So report is something like a graphical view of the data, right? You have some huge data and you want to condense the data and prepare a simple report. So how do you build the reports in ServiceNow? You will learn here in this reports concept. Okay. So you will learn about how to create different types of reports for different data present in ServiceNow. So here ends the administration. All these concepts are very, very important for learning the development and also for performing the administration activities in the project. Okay. Next, here in these concepts, coding will be very less. Coding will be very less. So since you are learning all these fundamentals, here and there will be some part of coding that anyway we'll be discussing, but coding comparatively to the development will be very less in this administration. So next comes the development. So we are not directly going to the development. So we will be learning the JavaScript basics here, because in the ServiceNow, the coding language or the scripting language used is JavaScript. Not everybody will be aware of the JavaScript coding. So here, with that point of view, we'll be learning the JavaScript basics about like 4 to 5 hours. Okay, we'll cover all the basics of JavaScript, important basics of JavaScript with the scope of ServiceNow. Okay, in point of view of ServiceNow, what all basics are required, we'll teach that here in the JavaScript basics. So then we will be ready for the starting the development classes. Understanding, guys?
Yes. Yep.
So next starts the development. So in the development, we'll be learning the concepts of scripting call, server side scripting, and then client side scripting. Okay. So these are different scripting areas in ServiceNow: client side scripting and server side scripting. And what all server scripts that you will be learning? So here are they: the glide record, glide aggregate, glide date and time. These are all server side scripting APIs. So you'll be learning about them, with practical examples as well. And how do you use these APIs for writing script in any of the other areas? So like we'll be like learning about that. So it's a continuous learning. So these are all the areas like business rules. Script includes fixed scripts, schedule jobs, flow designers, inbound actions, and access controls. So these are all the areas where we'll be writing the script to build the functionality for the requirement. Okay. So how do you write the code in these areas? Using these APIs, server side APIs. Getting it? So I can't just give you an example because these are all development related concepts. Okay, they have to be explained only with some practical examples. Okay, with one word I can't just explain what are they basically. So here everywhere you will be writing code to build some functionality based on the requirement. So some use cases require business tools to be configured. Some use cases require some script includes to be configured. Some use cases require flow designers to be configured. So it depends upon the scenario and the use case. Getting it? So these are all come under the server side scripting. Client side scripting is again a separate area of the scripting. In all these areas, the scripting language will be JavaScript only. Okay, but the way you write the code will be little different. Client side scripting. So here we'll be learning how do you basically work with different client-side scripting. Like one is client scripts and other is UI policies, UI actions. These are all different areas where you write the client-side scripts. Getting it, right? So for all these
Right.
concepts, we'll be working practically with the use case. Just a moment, guys. Just a moment. So for all these concepts, we'll be just not discuss the theoretical part of it. We'll practically take examples for each concept without fail. Okay. So the project use cases will be taken for each concept and then we'll be learning it here. Next comes the integrations. So integrations concepts also will be discussed here. So from ServiceNow, you can integrate to another applications using the different web services called SOAP and REST. So here, how do you basically set up the integration with ServiceNow to other applications? So we'll learn the integration concepts as well here. Okay. So we'll practically set up the integration with ServiceNow to other application, and we'll see practically how the data exchange happens. Getting it? And lastly, ITSM overview. So any opportunity you take on ServiceNow, the basic requirement is whether do you have ITSM experience or not. So here we'll be giving you the overview on ITSM as part of this training. Okay. So ITSM overview meaning the applications like incident, problem, change request, knowledge, service catalog. So those things, the overview or the life cycle will be explained clearly in the ITSM overview. Getting it? So this is about the syllabus part of it. So all this complete syllabus will take approximately minimum 60 hours. Maximum it could be like 65 hours. And coming to the additional advantages of this particular course is we'll be practically taking the project use cases while discussing any topic here. It's not just like you explain the theory part of it and you just simply explain one use case. No, practically what all use cases like basically I had come across in my professional career. So I'll be explaining them as part of the concept. And also I'll be highlighting the certification point of view important questions. For each concept, there will be some important certification questions. Right. So those important questions will also be discussed in the course duration. And also the practical use cases, as I said, project related practical use cases will be discussed here based on each topic. And interview questions also will be discussed. So these three additional things will help you to grow as a good or better ServiceNow professional. Getting it? So that is about coming to the job opportunities, right? So compared to the other technologies or other uh, streams, right? ServiceNow has better opportunities because every customer started using or adapting the ServiceNow application, and so they require more professionals on ServiceNow. So there's a great demand for the ServiceNow professionals in the market, especially for the developers. Okay, so there'll be different teams like ServiceNow administration team, ServiceNow testing team, QA team, and ServiceNow development team. So there are equal opportunities for all these different professionals on ServiceNow. And with less experience, you can expect good packages. Okay, so let me talk about the Indian resources. So generally for Indian resources in India, we can expect like for 3 years, you can expect 9 lakhs per annum package. Okay, Indian payroll, minimum 9 lakhs package for at least for 3 years experienced guy. Understanding? So the more basically the experience you have, the more package you can expect on the, but it is providing better packages. Service no domain is providing better packages comparatively to other applications. So that's all, guys, from my side. Any questions? Uh, Please ask me.